need to both tell your money where to go, but then you need to make sure that you're actually being accountable to yourself and using that money for where it's supposed to go. Welcome everybody to the first episode of Rolling Into Money. So essentially in this show, my goal is to just take you guys home with me on my nightly commute and just talk about something money related. So today I'm not really going to be doing too much of that, but I'm really just going to be introing the show, introing my channel, introing my platform. So you guys get to know a little bit about me, who I am, what makes me tick, and why I think you should stick around. So basically, Rolling Into Money is going to be one of the major series I want to have on my channel. It's going to be about me driving home, because right now I'm still working that 40, 50, more like 52-hour work weeks every week, and that means I don't have a ton of time to start creating this content, and so I need to find those little times in my day that I'm able to do that. And so this is one of those times that I am on my commutes to and from work. So, all that said, all these trips, you're just going to be riding along with me in my really sexy 2001 Chevy Cavalier that I got for $650. Planning on making a video on that soon, how to save money buying cars, knowing what's reliable, knowing what's not reliable. But I've had this baby for 4 months now, and actually a little bit more. It's been a little bit over 5 months. And yeah, it's been great. Worked for me, got me to and from where I've needed to go, and that's really all I need a car to do at this point in my life. To name the series Rolling Into Money, I didn't even name it. I think it's an awesome name. My wife actually, I was like trying to for days think of what can I call this series. Just couldn't find anything, and I sent a text to my wife and I was like, hey, I have this idea for a show on the channel, which would be just me kind of talking to a camera on my way home from work about money, finance. What do you think would be a good name for it? I don't know if I can pull up the timestamp to verify this is true, but I'm pretty sure within probably 45 seconds, she shot back Rolling Into Money. And I was like, how did I marry so up? How did I marry so well? Way out of my league for sure. But that's how the name kind of came into be, where we're driving down the road, we're rolling, and I'm trying to roll into money myself, trying to help you guys roll into a more sure financial foundation so that you guys are able to build wealth generationally, being able to give generously so that you're set up for whatever you want to do in life, to free up your time, to free up your finances, to be able to do that based on just timeless principles of how you handle your money and how you steward that well. And so I just want to be able to create a platform that relays that information on, because we're really not taught, at least in America, the way that our school system is set up, the way that money is kind of tabooed. We're not really able to talk about it. It's really sad to me, because financial foundation is not a difficult thing to understand. It's not a difficult thing to know, but we don't really teach it very much. And because it's not taught, sorry, gotta make sure I don't get hit. Because it's not taught very well, you see people 25, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, no retirement understanding, no money to their name really, still living paycheck to paycheck, and just breaks my heart to see that. And I want to change that cycle for my family. So I want to be a voice that kind of helps in that direction, to leave a legacy, not only for my family, but also for many, many families to come, of good, strong financial foundations started from when you're young. And so my channel is really targeted at people 18 to 30 years old, so that they can learn how to manage money well. Just because if you start early, that's when you really see all the difference. There's gonna be plenty of videos where I talk about just the power of compound interest, and how starting 2 years earlier, 3 years earlier, 5 years earlier will make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in difference in the amount that you're able to invest and utilize over your lifetime. And that's why I think that you need to start young, really build that strong financial foundation. And I know I've said financial foundation a lot, and I'm sure I'm gonna have a video of what do I believe a financial foundation is, but I'm sure I just need to spell it out here, because I've said it probably 5, 6, 7 times. But to me, having a really strong financial foundation means that you feel in control of your finances. And I think that finance is very contextual to a lot of different people. But even though it's contextual, there are some things that just have to be true across the board to make sure that you are having a good financial foundation. First thing, you really need to budget. Having a budget so that you know where all of your money is going, even before you get that money, is just so important. It's made it feel like I have so much more money than I have. It's made me feel like I'm more wealthy than some people I know who are making more money than me, just because I know where all my money is going. I don't have to guess, oh, do I have this in the account? Do I know that I'm going to have the ability to pay for this item because it's already been budgeted for? And I see budgeting and tracking expenses kind of as hand in hand, as partners. I know some people use those terms interchangeably, but I really think budgeting needs to go first, and then you need to track your expenses as a second part of the financial foundation that you need to lay for yourself, because you need to both tell your money where to go, but then you need to make sure that you're actually being accountable to yourself and using that money for where it's supposed to go. You also need to make sure that you have more money coming in than is going out. And you're not going to really know that unless you budget and track your expenses, but you need to really make sure that your income is higher than your expenses, or at least the same, but you really want it to be higher, and if not much higher, because that's really how you build wealth over time. Because the number one way that you're going to build wealth is by utilizing your income against your expenses, keeping your expenses low and your income high, and really viewing yourself kind of as a P&L statement, as a business. If a business was handling the money that way that you're handling money, and you were the manager of that, would you be fired? And I think that that's a question that we need to ask ourselves in terms of handling money, because if you're looking at a business, you're like, wow, they're wasting so much money, they're doing all of this, and then you go home and you spend $50 on this random cable package that you never use, and then you go and you spend $7 on Starbucks every morning, and you're spending all this money that you're not tracking, you don't really know where it's going. Because I really think that you need to look at yourself and think, what can I be doing better? Would I fire myself as the manager of my finances? Would I fire myself as the CFO or as the controller of the business of Anthony or the business of whoever you are? I think that's just a really important thing for you to know. And then the next step, you need to save money. And saving money is in two forms. It's both in paying off debts, and it's in actually saving money. And I think that you need to pay off all of your consumer debts first, getting rid of all credit card debt. Just everything like that is ridiculous. Personally, think that you should get rid of all car debt as well. I know some people would disagree with me, and one of the things I want to talk about as well is how finance is just so contextual to someone, that as long as you're moving in the right directions, I'm not gonna yell at you, not gonna argue with you too much. But for me, having a strong financial foundation is having no consumer debt. The only debt that I would really allow would be like a mortgage for a personal house, maybe for a rental property, but only if you're doing that very intentionally and you know exactly what you're doing. So for the vast majority of people, I'd say the only debt that you should really have would be a mortgage, and you still want to be intentional about getting rid of that. But having no consumer debt, no credit cards, no car loans, no personal loans, no family loans, nothing like that, and then saving money on top of that. Afterwards, making sure that you obviously have enough money that if something comes up, you can keep your momentum and continue to pay off your debts. And so I know Dave Ramsey talks about having $1,000 baby emergency fund to start. And I've used that. That's what worked for me before I had my full emergency fund like I do now, of 3, 6, 8, 10 months of expenses, however much you think that you need. But to me, paying off debt and saving money, it's the same thing, essentially. And if you're not paying off debt, you're going to be losing money versus if you just put that money into a bank account, because paying off debt, you're having to pay interest on all of that. And in a bank account, you're not going to be making as much interest as you would be by paying off this debt, because if you have a debt at even as low as 3% interest, and you're putting that money into a bank account that is even like a wealth fund account, has 2.57% interest rate, it's still, you're going to be losing money on that money because your debt interest is going to be higher than what you're saving. So just paying off all the debt as fast as you can, and getting that down to having no consumer debt, and then saving money in an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, all the way up to 12 months of expenses, just in a cash fund. You could do that wherever you feel most comfortable. I personally have that right now in just my Wells Fargo account, but my wife and I are moving it to an Ally account because it has more than 2% higher interest per year, which is going to essentially be $200, $300 depending on how much money we keep in our emergency fund, because 3 months of expenses for us is right around 10 grand. And so having your emergency fund there, and then really just investing that money. And so having a strong foundation, having no debt, making sure you're budgeting, tracking your expenses, starting to invest after you've saved money in an emergency fund, so that if anything does come up, you have the cash to just cover it. And investing, honestly, just as much as you can. Whether that investment be saving towards buying a house and making a house a really good investment. Most people don't really think of a personal house as an investment, but I think that you can do that in a very good way. Or just putting that money into the stock market. 401k matches with your employer would be the first thing that you'd want to do if you're planning to stay there over the investment term. And then Roth IRAs, and then as much as you can in non-taxable accounts when you retire, and then into taxable accounts like a brokerage account or mutual funds of that sort. But essentially, that's what I talk about when I mean a financial foundation. just really thank you guys for checking out this full video. If you've stayed around for the whole length of it for now, don't forget to drop it a like on whatever platform you're watching it on, most likely YouTube. That's really the platform I'm focusing on growing the most first. So drop a like on this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you're new, or like me on Facebook, Instagram. Please stick around. I'm gonna have hopefully 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 of these every single week if I can keep my energy up and continue to have stuff to talk about. If you have any questions about personal finance, don't hesitate to reach out in the comment section down below, DM me on Instagram, message me on Facebook, whatever it might be. I really just want to be here to help. If you have very personal, contextual questions, and you just want to hear my opinion on it, don't hesitate to reach out. But yeah, just really am excited about putting my face forward as a face in the world of opinions on finance, and helping people to grow wealth over a long period of time so that they can retire well, pass money on, give, be generous, and take full advantage of this life that we have, and doing that by taking advantage of your time and your money so that you can leverage both of those things for the maximum value. Now I'm home. So we've completed the first rolling into money as I'm rolling into my apartment complex, and I just appreciate you guys being along for the ride.